Good morning, Miami and the world. Delia Perullera with her rehearsal for the Secret Sauce Summit. How are you today? And I ask you, who is the hero? A hero that acts on the superpowers of imagination, intuition, memory, will, reasoning, and perception. Now let me take you back to the age of 5. What were you doing then? And let me take you to your 13 years old age. Maybe the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, or even the 80s. The recollections I'm about to tell you may or may not resonate with you, but my intention is to ignite in you the desire to explore what it is that you want to do in this world, to make your life easier, to glide, to enjoy it. So taking you back to the age of 5, traveling the island of Cuba in a 500 Farline Ford, 1958, with mother and father and sister on the side, visiting family, extended family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. For Nochebuena, vacations at the beach in Varadero, Guanabo, and Santa Maria del Mar, even Jibacoa. Life was great until 1959. At the verge of the revolution, the mother says, let's get our passports going, let's fly the island. The decision was different though. They endured communism for 7 years, and the life of affluence that they had experienced before was no longer there until 1967 when they flee the island in a propeller airplane from Rancho Boyeros, La Habana, Cuba, destination Barajas, Madrid, Spain, with 2 stops before the itinerary, one in Portugal, Azores Islands, and Paris. On the first stop, they're welcomed with a breakfast of eggs and bacon. Now, let me give you this detail. The entire passengers on the plane were Cuban exiles. The crew, the flying crew, was from Czechoslovakia, the country back then, which is now Slovakia. The Cuban exiles at the sight of eggs and bacon looked the other way, for they had been eating eggs for the past 7 years with green pea soup. The parents told the girls, have something to eat, at least the bread, the toast, for we don't know from where our next meal is coming. You see, back in 1967, Cubans that fled the island could not take out any money. Credit cards were not on the site, they didn't exist. And the only thing that you could take with you was yourself, the clothes you had on, and luggage with 6 changes of clothes. So we had something to eat and we boarded the plane again. This time, landing in Paris. Another airport which the name doesn't call. And we'd ride a bus to Orly Airport in Paris. Going through the streets in Paris brought a lot of excitement to all the exiles in the bus, for they were yelling, apples, grapes, pears, wow. They had not seen fruit since the beginning of the year 1959. For a scarcity was the abundance in the island. Stores were closed, Americans were gone, and everywhere you looked to get food, you had to do lines and see if you were lucky that you were going to get something when your turn came. My father, preventing us from hunger, took out 8 to 10 sandwiches out of the tray that was passed an hour before we landed and placed them in a plastic bag that was in the seat compartment. Put it on his coat from 1935, and out the door of the bus we went with our luggage and our freedom. He says, go, get a cart for the luggage. To which she replied, no, you need coins to get those carts. they're locked. She glances around and sees a cart on the curb. A lady had just boarded a taxi, and the opportunity came to put the luggage in, and we did. Next, we waited almost 12 to 16 hours in that airport, eating sandwiches, celebrating the freedom, until the flight to Barajas, Madrid materialized that night, or that early morning of February 11th, 2 in the morning. We boarded the plane and the flight was fast, less than an hour. As we landed in Barajas, we came across a stranger who put a $5 bill in the father's left pocket of his coat. It happened that this man knew the father's father, the little girl's grandfather, and he also offered a place for them to sleep that night. The money took care of the next 2 meals for the next day, as the father went to work unloading a truck in a grocery store. The next 5 months were hard. They could only afford paying for a meal a day, so they went to a public diner daily for lunch. Life passed. Father gets the family together again. He had to relocate to do the business that he was in. He couldn't stand the loading of the truck of groceries, so he went to work for a Swedish company as a salesman. Gave him a car and a new location. While the family stayed in Madrid, he went to Valencia. After 5 months, he was able to secure an apartment, secure the light, the electricity, and some groceries, and the family moved together again. And life was good. They were not millionaires, but they had freedom, a roof, and food to eat. And the girls are getting used to the life in Spain, and they like it. They go to verbenas, they go to festivities, they have friends. The older one learns to knit in a knitting machine, making dresses and sweaters. She reads the classics. The mother teaches school at home. She tutors some students in the building where they live, and life goes on. And then the great festivities for Valencia come on for 2 weeks, the fallas. And the girl, the 13-year-old, has a great time with her parents and her sister, to find out 2 weeks later that she is coming to the United States alone as a student. Hard. Change again in her life. First a revolution, then a new country, then another country. And this time the language is different. The family members are extended family, which she hardly knows. Last time she saw them, she was 4 years old, and she cannot bring her sister along. She has to come on her own on that plane. The family takes her to the airport one more time, puts her on the plane. She arrives in Miami after a long delay in New York, JFK. For you see, she missed her plane. She had 3 pieces of luggage at the age of 14. When she arrives at the airport in LaGuardia, they put her on a bus and take her to JFK, where she has to find and search for a guitar, a Spanish guitar, a box containing a virgin statue, and her luggage. And this nun approaches and says, "Do you have your luggage?" "No, I don't," she said in Spanish. "Let's go look for your luggage." To her surprise, she looks at the floor, she glances, and there are thousands of luggages and packages on the floor. Back then, they did not have luggage belts that rotated to find your luggage while you are in the same spot. You had to walk through all that mess to find your luggage. She took a good 15 minutes. She boards the bus. They put her luggage in the compartment, down. And as she approaches JFK, she missed her flight at 6 p.m. delay for another 5 hours for the next plane to Miami at 11. She finally lands in Miami, and the family is going nuts because they don't see her. They're expecting her to land at 9 p.m. and it's now 1 in the morning and she's nowhere to be seen. So finally she runs into the family. The next day, all the paperwork to go to public education, and life goes on. They change again. And this time, 7 years go by where she gets an education and a job as a cashier when she's 16. And life goes on until she graduates from college, gets married, and flies aboard for her husband's career in Berlin, where her first child is born 5 years into the marriage. 3 years later, they move back to Miami, and "25 years pass. Now the girl is 49 years old, and senior life retirement package shows up. A divorce after 25 years, 2 kids, 1 in college and 1 at home. A new change in her life. What does she do? She's half empty nested, caring for the younger child, splitting parenting during the week, teaching school, and she feels like there's more to life than being a teacher, a mother, and an ex-wife. And she looks and searches, because she was advised by her friends at church that the way to meet your new husband was searching the internet through the Christian sites. To her surprise, she meets her first networking company in 2005, and she works it, has no idea what she's doing, but she likes the personal growth, and she likes the trips, and she takes her family along, her parents. And a year goes by, and they promised $1 million in a year. And when she didn't see herself do that, she went for the easy comfort zone. Get back to the classroom. Teach at school for another 6 years. And after those 6, she retires. She retired young, at 58. And 2 months later, she finds her second company. She worked really hard at this company. She meets family members that she hadn't seen in 25 years because they see her in Vegas through Facebook. She connects to his friends, and one of his friends, cousin's friends, becomes her husband. But not right away. 6 years go by until 2017 when they meet again. They have a date and they never separated, and it turns into marriage in 6 months. And that took a lot of courage, not to stay in the same place and accept what life had given her. So my question to you, who is the hero inside you? What is your desire? What is it that you want to do that you put the brakes and say, no, that's not for me, that's for somebody else? Because this girl, this teenager, this woman in her 60s is not different from you. I want to leave you with a quote that I found in one of these magazines that I received last week. And this quote is about courage, by a graphic designer named Ria Kawakubo. Before I go, I would like to leave you with this quote. What is courage? The capacity to face life in a brave and fearless way. Courage is taking risks. It's about letting your imagination soar, willing to stand out even as you stand alone. Those of you who were touched by my recollections. You can reach me at delia.perullera@gmail.com, and I will send you the 6 superpowers that you can put in practice today. They are inside you. We are all born with them. So your life can thrive and glide and be enjoyable like mine. Till next time.